I have had some die before when it was like got down to about 10 and there was an ice storm and they were covered with ice, and I've lost a bunch of onions. But well, let me bring you up to date about what is going on. I have got my shipment of onions from Haas Tools in. Let me show you what they sent me. And they're a sponsor of mine, so they send me stuff from time to time. I ordered 2 bunches of Vidora onions. He said this is Daddy Haas. That would be Greg. Said that the Vidora or a Vidalia type onion, so it's a good sweet onion. That's what we like. And man, they look good. Some of these, now we call them sets down here, onion sets. Some other people, I've had this conversation with some viewers, and I forget what they call them, onion bulbs, onion starts. But down here, we call them sets, and or onion plants, I think some people call them. But some of these look really, really nice. I mean, that's as big as a thumb almost. Most of them are pencil size or bigger. I mean, that's a nice one. He also said about 50 come to a bundle. I would say that is conservative. I would think there's more than 50 here, and he said he thought there were too. But really good plants, great root systems. You got to pull them apart. Really hate to do that right now, but I guess I could. There's a small one. We'll pull it out and about. But a good, we can see that, great root system on the onions. I mean, you can see that they just got a wad of roots in that. Probably a dozen. There's probably a dozen onions right there. I mean, a big root system. Now, what he said do, before I show you the other varieties, what he said do in one of his last videos is something I don't do. I haven't done before. I'm doing it now, and that is. When you first get them, if you can't put them in the ground right then, take them out of the bundle. They're typically wrapped up with a rubber band. Take them out of the bundle and spread them out. Now, he wanted them spread out a little bit more than what I've got mine spread out, but he said you want them to dry. You want them to not be wet, not to be bundled together, touching each other, any worse than they have to. And I've always done just the opposite. Well, I'd go buy some onions. Usually, I'd buy them late in the year, and they'd look terrible. And I'd kind of soak them down with water. Or sometimes I'd put them in a plastic bag and soak them down with water. And he said that is absolutely the wrong thing to do. So I learned something from Daddy Haas, and maybe you can learn that too from me. Spread them out. Plant them as quick as you can, but spread them out and let them dry. Let them. I don't know whether cure is going to be the right word, but dry. And but if you need, part of my point is, if you need some onions, if you plant from sets and not seed, then Vidora is a good sweet onion brand. I usually plant the 1015 onion. It's an Texas Aggie onion. It's a super sweet 1015 or 1015Y. These are all. We would call it a Y. 1015Y is a yellow onion. All these are yellow onions, and the other got 2 other examples that are not. But these are the Vidora are yellow, and it's a yellow onion. It's a very sweet onion. It gets big, which is what I want, which is what I like. I'm just going to plant them maybe a little differently than you're going to plant yours. We'll be doing that in another video. When I get these in the ground, I'll show you the planting and where I'm planting them, because it's going to be a little, at least part of the planting is going to be a little bit different. These are sapello. It's also I think it's a yellow onion, although it looks mighty white. Some of them look yellow, some of them look white. I don't know. My wife likes yellow onions. Typically, white onions store longer, I've always been told. So I'm not sure about that. So I got 2 bunches of these also. And then these, something that we don't typically plant around here, and that's a red onion. These are called Sofire. Sofire, it's a red onion, and they're not near as big, but I don't think the onion gets near as big as the as one of these Vidora type onions. They need to be planted, as soon as you can, as soon as you get them. So if you're looking for some onions, Haas has some beautiful onions, and I'll have a link below to my my associate link to Hoss below. I appreciate if you would use that. That lets them know that that their faith in me and their support of me is validated. So I would appreciate it if you'd do that. Now, here's the confession. I have never planted onions in November. These will probably get planted the last day or two of November. I've never planted onions in November. I've planted a few onions and once or twice in my lifetime in December. Lots of folks around here. We've got a big onion growing community around here. Lots of folks plant in December, probably mid-December. Daddy Hoss says that October and November is the time in the South to plant onions. But I'm going to plant these long before I normally plant onions. I have had some die before when it was got down to about 10 and there was an ice storm and they were covered with ice, and I've lost a bunch of onions. But in February 21, when we had the big Texas freeze, it was -5, but it didn't hurt the onions at all because they were covered with a big layer of snow, and that snow kept them at probably 32 degrees, I would imagine, insulated them. So I'm hoping I don't have to protect these at all, and we can just put them in the ground, and we've got a bunch of them. And if you're not thinking about onions, dadgum, you ought to, because it's time if you're in the glorious southern United States. All right? So, onions. I got them laying out. I got them everywhere. We're going to put them in the ground. I'll show you when I plant and how I plant and where I plant, because it's going to be a little unconventional for some of them. And we'll get us some onions. So, if you're looking for some, again, go to Hoss. Got a link below. Beautiful onions. I'm expecting good things out of these Vidoras and the Sapellos from what I've read up on them. All right, I think that's it. Get you some onions. We're gone.